Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the 9th in CSW Group's series of webinars, My Choices. This is a series of webinars that we have offered to young people in a very wide range of educational situations, and that includes both young people in mainstream schools and colleges and also those young people who are home educated. Each of these sessions deals with a different area of career development and employability. And today we are offering a question and answer session with local employers and training providers. So with us today, we have Priscilla Ting, who is a research scientist with the Pirbright Institute. So we are very glad to have her with us. We also have Morven MacLean, who is a business development and employer engagement officer with Exeter College. And our last panelist is Kerry, who is an employment and skills coordinator with the Midas Group. So we're very glad to have her with us too. As with previous Q&A sessions, questions will be fielded to our panelists by my colleague David Roe. If anybody listening has any additional questions and would like to ask any, please enter them in the Q&A box, and time permitting, we'll very happily deal with those right at the end. So without further ado, I will hand you over to David.
Thanks, Ollie. Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Thanks to our panelists. So let's crack on. We've only got 20 minutes, so let's make a start. So Morven, if we could start with you. So a question that's come in is, I have never had any work experience. What can I do to help myself get a job?
Hi David, thank you. Hi everyone. Yeah, I mean, work experience can be considered to be obviously useful if it's in an area that you are looking to sort of progress into. However, there may be lots of other things that you have done around clubs that you've been involved with in school, any groups that you've been involved with in school. Perhaps you've been a prefect, or you've headed up one element of the school curriculum and things like that. So there's lots of areas that you can kind of use other than full work experience, just to show your kind of transferable skills. Examples that we kind of use as well, if we're helping young people with CVs for apprenticeships, which is the part of the college that I work in, we always tend to look at, you know, even if you've played for a local football team, that can show commitment. You've turned up every week to training, you've gone out in the pouring rain, you've given your best, you've worked as part of a team. You might even have been in charge of washing the kit and getting that all ready for the next match. There's lots of different areas, and again, it's just about talking to that individual and helping to kind of tease out all the things that they might have done. Again, you know, you might have even done some babysitting for a younger sibling or for a relative, and again, that's obviously shows some sort of responsibility that you've got, that you've been placed in that sort of position of trust and position of charge. It shows patience if you're looking after a younger person. So there's lots of different kind of skills that you may not think that you've even got by some of the things that you've done other than work experience. So don't let that stop you. Obviously, if you've got the opportunity to get some work experience, fantastic. But if not, just kind of look at some of the other areas where you've helped out, where you've been involved in, and just really use those and bring those to the fore as well.
Well, thanks, Morven. That's great. What about volunteering? What about volunteering? Is that something that would be useful
again,
to do?
exactly. Yeah, volunteering is fantastic as well. So, you know, that shows that it might be in a cause that you're passionate about. So that shows a sort of passion that you've got, and also giving up your free time shows a real element of commitment, and that you're prepared to do that, to volunteer without any sort of pay or any wage, just to help out. So yes, anything like that as well. That's a great thing to have done as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I guess a good website is www.doit.org, which you can just Google and find, and you'll find loads of volunteering opportunities on there.
Ah, brilliant. Okay.
That's a good place to look. Thanks, Morven. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
So moving on, Priscilla, questions come in for you. COVID-19 has affected a lot of jobs. What kind of jobs can I still get?
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, well, that's a very tough question, of course, because most of the services sector and hospitality sectors have been affected. But there are still many jobs out there, like IT jobs. That's definitely in demand because there's increased usage of anything that is online and internet services, non-contact services. So that is one area that you all can look into. of course, if you don't have any experience, there are a lot of helpful tutorials and coding websites that you can actually explore and learn new skills, because the key is to learn new skills now. You know, you just have to try things that you never thought that you would try, and then you don't know, you might actually like that job. Besides that, of course, there's the medical field, care services, home care services. These are fields that are always in demand because, yeah, people get sick. Yeah, and well, of course, delivery services. There's increased demand in delivery services right now because everybody is having everything delivered. So it doesn't mean that it's not your dream job. Means that you don't try it. It will still give you some work experience that you can use as a stepping stone to get onto your next position, which will be closer to the next job that you really truly want. But at this point, it still counts as a work experience, as the previous panelist said. It's a useful experience because there will be scenarios that you will encounter that you can transfer the skills to and write down in your CV. So these are still important events that will definitely benefit you. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And I guess it's worth doing. If you find a job that you've done and you really hated it, well, that's quite useful in itself, because you definitely don't want to do that thing, whatever it was that you might do.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a good example as well for an interview for another job that you want to apply for, because all these different scenarios will add to whatever you can answer when they ask you in an interview, because most of the time in an interview they want to know how you deal with situations that are positive and negative, because it tells them more about your work style. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, brilliant, thank you. That's interesting what you're saying about coding and learning that kind of stuff. I guess that's things that you can do kind of at home anytime, I suppose.
Yes, yeah, because the internet is just full of information. You just need to search for it, and you can learn Python, you can learn C++, you can learn HTML, whatever you can think of. There are people out there who have come up with tutorials. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant, thank you very much, that's great. Kerry, moving on to you then. So what skills and behaviour do you expect of young employees?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Okay, so I've got a little list here. So practical skills are always good, especially if you're working in construction and you're working in a trade, you need to be hands-on. So that would really help you. Communication skills as well. If you're working in trade or you're working as management, if you're coordinating the whole site, you need to be able to communicate with everybody. That's, on the ground, and management as well. Problem solving. We always work to a programme, but obviously sometimes that programme gets stopped for weather or something like that. So you need to be able to think on your feet quite quickly and be able to problem solve as you go on. Punctuality and reliability. So because we work to a programme, we always have to make sure those workers are, on time, saying that if they start at 9 o'clock, they have to start at 9 o'clock. If you don't start at 9 or you come in a day late, then that pushes the whole programme back. So that pushes the whole the project back. So yeah, punctuality is key to our industry. Good team player. We've always got to work as a team. We've got lots of different departments. We've got lots of different trades, lots of different subcontractors that all have to come together to work together to make that project work. So, team playing is key, really. And keen to learn. Okay, so every day is a school day. I'm always learning every day. So yeah, really keen to learn is definitely quite a big one. Understanding instructions, being able to get things done on time, making decisions is also really big, using computers or using your hands, depending on what sort of job you've got within the industry. And the biggest one, I think, is just getting on with people. Okay, so it's just easier to do your job if you try and get on with people.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good. And yeah, getting on with people. That's the main takeaway. It's really important.
It's just so much easier.
Yeah, because I think most jobs you've got to work with other people
all the
Yeah,
time,
I think
especially in
yeah.
our industry, all the time.
I was trying to think of a job where you don't, but I don't think there is any. Even if you work in IT, you're gonna have to work with other people. You're not just going to be sat coding
That's
for the
right.
whole day. You've got to work with other people, so
Yeah.
it's quite important, I guess. And Kerry, so you're in the construction industry. What's things looking like in that industry at the minute? Better or worse because of COVID?
Well, I mean, it did sort of slow down a lot, when lockdown, everything stopped, the tenders stopped coming in, but now we're busier than ever. Yeah,
Right.
really busy. So yeah, it's really picked up, lots of tenders coming in, so lots of possible work winning. So yeah, it's booming at the moment.
Good, excellent, glad to hear it. And sort of related to that, Morven, so I guess your sort of speciality is apprenticeships, and what's the apprenticeship kind of vacancies looking like? Has that gone down because of COVID, or is it kind of okay?
It's okay, as sort of Kerry said as well. There was that time sort of during lockdown with a bit of uncertainty, so it kind of slowed a little bit. But kind of now, sort of getting back in, and the majority of our courses have started now, sort of in the middle of September. But the vacancies are still sort of coming in. We've had to put on a couple of additional courses as well to fill up numbers, because obviously the classroom sizes have been slightly decreased in some areas, just to make sure we can fit everyone in safely. But we've had to add in a couple of other courses, and I think we've still got around sort of 80 to 90 vacancies live on the college website at the moment. So yeah, it seems
good.
to still be building, still lots of interest from employers. I think because there's obviously additional kind of incentive grants around apprenticeships and around pre-apprenticeship programs at the moment for them to sort of to welcome young people back into the workforce, that those kind of things have helped a little bit as well. So it's still looking, considering what's the craziness and everything that's gone on, it's not that much different really than it was this time last year.
That's really positive. And what about young people that don't have
which is a 6 week to 6 month program where they can work on their functional skills, so they can achieve a level 2 functional skills in English or maths, which is a GCSE equivalent, and also work on sort of personal skills, CVs and things like that if they haven't managed to get an employer. If you're just kind of shy of the grades, or you only need maybe one and you've got an employer, then again you can do the functional skills just as an additional college day alongside until you pass, and then that can just drop away and you carry on with your normal college day. So it's not really a barrier at all.
Okay,
as long as
brilliant.
I think, echoing what Kerry said, as long as you've kind of got that excitement, passion, and you're really keen to learn and work, then that's all we need really.
Yeah, brilliant, that's good to hear. And Kerry, in Midas, so do you offer apprenticeships at Midas then?
Yes, we do. Because we're the main contractor, so we don't do the trade work ourselves. So we don't do the painting and decorating, the plastering, but what we do is we manage the whole project. So we're the coordinators of the project. Okay. So our apprentices are technical apprentices. So they do from level 3, they come in at level 3, 4, 5, 6, they can go up to if they like, or even a degree, and that's in site management, quantity surveying and design and build, all that sort of ilk.
Okay, fantastic. And to get onto a level 3, so what kind of grades would you need for that?
I think, I'm not sure if the Morven would probably be able to answer that more than I would.
Put you on the spot.
The standards have changed at the moment, and it's all a bit.
Okay, because level 3 is equivalent to A level, isn't it? So I'm guessing you'd probably need sort of fairly high GCSEs.
I think it's from
qualification beforehand.
Yeah, C and above, so that would be a 4 and above now, I think.
Yeah, Morven, yeah, you're nodding your head, Morven. So
yeah, I mean that's usually the sort of grade, and the majority of because it's sort of changed now. I'll bore you with the technicalities, but they've changed the standards now. So a lot of the level 2 qualifications have now gone, but are maybe built into the first 6 months of a level 3 qualification. So a lot of the level 3 is the starting point for most apprenticeships, really. So it's still the C4 and above, as Kerry said.
Sure, right, okay. Thank you, that's great. And Priscilla, I mean, I guess your industry, being a research scientist, that's fairly niche. How would one kind of get themselves into doing what you're doing?
Okay, so to get into research scientists, well, at least in Pirbright, I know we have an apprenticeship program, but because of COVID and lockdown now, you know, we have to check, because right now we are still running at a lower capacity, because we have to ensure that we have safe distancing to ensure that we are COVID secure. So, but I think once COVID is over, things will pick up. So for example, if they want to come in as a technician, they can either go through the apprenticeship route, or they can actually go to colleges and then apply. There's also the university route. If you want to go and become a research scientist, you have to go to university, unfortunately. And as you go, you have to do a PhD. Yeah.
And what would you have to study at university to be a research scientist?
Well, it depends on which field you want to go to. For example, if you want to be a physicist, right, then you have to do physics. You definitely have to do maths. To go into biology, which is the field that I'm in, you have to do biology, chemistry, probably, and you can't escape from maths.
So that's why I'm not a research scientist, because maths.
Yeah, unfortunately, all science fields require math. So without math, it gets more and more difficult for you to actually get into the field. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm just interested. How did you all come to be doing what you're doing? Was there something you thought you'd be doing when you were sort of a young person, thinking about your future, or have you just kind of landed where you are because of, I don't know, circumstances or what? Yeah. I don't know, Priscilla, do you want to start on that one? Yeah.
Well, for me, I've always known that I wanted to go into research, because I enjoy finding out how things work, making things work. So I knew that I want to go into that. So I went and searched for work experience, you know, internships, volunteered at university laboratories, you know, spam mailed all the professors until somebody gave me a volunteer position. And then I worked on from there, because even volunteer positions is something that you can add to your CV. It makes you different from other people. But of course, during the times now, it's a bit more difficult to do volunteering. So there are online websites where you can help research programs, like I think it's zooniverse.com or .org, sorry. And they can actually help researchers do their research. So that's a useful website if anybody is interested in research. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. Kerry, how about you? How did you come to be doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so I started off in administration first when I left school. Then I went off and had my children, and then came back as I didn't start into construction, but I came back as a career change and got into construction once my children were at school. Started off at administration again and just worked my way up into employment and skills, and it just fascinated me. I just wanted to give something back to the young people, really.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. How about you, Morven?
I didn't imagine ever doing this. I actually wanted to be a forensic scientist when I was younger,
okay.
So it's a little bit far away from what I'm doing now. Didn't quite get the grades to do that, so went to Polytechnic and did business studies.
Okay.
And then I've done various things. I did a work placement during my degree where I worked for the Welsh Development Agency, because I did my qualification down in South Wales. And then I worked for House of Fraser on the fashion floor. I've worked in job centres up in Scotland. I worked for Pete Goss, the yachtsman's internet company. And then from that kind of just went, then I kind of got into the training provider world and apprenticeship world, and I've kind of been in that one ever since. And I think it's definitely my favourite and definitely the kind of most rewarding. So yeah, so just through via lots of different routes, finally got into this one and into Exeter College.
Yeah, great. I know. Yeah, I wanted to be a journalist, but realised that wasn't really for me. I had a job where I was working with people and realised that's what I love doing, and yeah, that's kind of when I found what I love doing, really. So yeah, I guess for some people it's just you've got to try out loads of different things before you find something that kind of fits, really. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. So, we're 19 minutes past 2, so we're almost coming up to our 20 minutes. Has anyone got any kind of bits of advice they'd like to give the young people that are watching this webinar? Any sort of, nuggets of advice or anything before we finish?
Yeah, if I could just say something, just going back, work experience. I think work experience is key, especially if you don't know what you want to do yet. Try and do as much work experience in different industries as you can, and you can then see what you like and what you don't like, and it's like a bit of a try before you buy. So I always encourage everybody to do work experience when they come into us first, just to see, you know, a snapshot of what they'd be doing, what the roles entail, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, good idea. That's brilliant. And maybe it'd be a good idea to sort of talk to your, your parents, friends, your just anyone really who's working, and ask them what they do and what it's like, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, Morven, anything from you?
Yeah, I was just kind of following on from what you just kind of said as well. I think just get as much advice as you possibly can now, especially now a lot of things have kind of gone online. People are really open to having a quick Zoom call or something. It just makes it a lot easier to kind of reach people that you might not be able to when we were back in the face-to-face situation. It's much easier to grab a coffee and have a chat for 10 minutes than having to get in a car and go meet somebody and things like that. So I'd just say use the positives from this and just seek as much advice as you can. As Priscilla said, watch as many webinars and things that are out there, because there's lots and lots more and more at the moment, and just try and take in as much information and advice as you can.
Right, thank you. And Priscilla, any last thoughts from you before we wrap up?
I think it's important that they are not afraid to try, because if they just try it out, go for the work experience and try it out, don't be afraid to ask, So if they ask, the opportunity will appear out of nowhere. So if they try, they might get
and don't give up. Like you were saying, you just emailed everyone lots of times, I imagine. So don't give up, because you'll probably get some knockbacks, but just learn from it and keep going, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Right, that's brings us to the end of our session. Thanks everyone. Thanks so much for your contributions, for being part of the panel. It's been really good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. So we had some really wonderful responses there. Very, very informative session indeed. So we hope that you all enjoyed that. This is the last of our series of My Choices webinars now, but the good news, if you've not managed to watch any of our previous ones, is that all of these will be uploaded to the CSW Group YouTube channel. So do feel free to visit that website, and you can watch back this session or any previous ones, and do follow us for further updates. So thank you once again to David and to all of our panelists, and thanks very much for participating.